Welcome to the World United. Welcome to the World United.
Is Mr. Harrison Klien, founder of the Masters Gathering. He would be talking to us on uniqueness of self and full potential activation.
Old in my mother's kitchen in Cleveland, Ohio. My father and my mother were arguing very violently about money. Can you hear me? My father and my mother were arguing very violently about money. And there was a great deal of pain in our home. I had, at that moment, begun to make a decision. From the pain that I saw around me in a continuing violent and depressive and oppressive atmosphere, I made a decision. I made a decision to not participate in this kind of pain in my life again. Fast forward to the time I'm 7 years old, and I'm sitting in again, my mother's kitchen, and there is a song playing on the radio, and the words to the song say, "Please lock me away. I can't live in a world without love." And that is the immediate space that I began to take myself. I did not wish to live in a world without love. From the time I was 3 to the time I was 7, I began a journey to cocoon myself, to step away from all pain, to step away from all difficulty, to step away from any interaction, because all I saw in my life at that time was darkness. All I saw was interaction and suffering that was difficult for everyone, not knowing that what I was seeing was also me. Fast forward again to the time I'm 28 years old, and I'm sitting in an apartment in Cleveland, Ohio, and I had retreated myself for those multiple years into a place of Asperger's disease. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a form of autism in which one cannot make contact, eye contact, voice contact, auditory or tactile contact with anyone else. The space of that moment, after 20 years of not having a conversation, not even having a simple conversation with anyone, because I had so retreated into this sickness, became something that was very, very powerful in 30 and almost 28 years of suppressed emotion. And at a very bizarre moment in my life, without warning, I had a mystical experience. I was touched by God, and for the first time in my life, after having gone through a enormously massive transformation that spontaneously healed everything within me, I began to understand love. I did not want love until that point. I did not know what love was. I had no idea what love was. In that space of time when this mystical experience happened to me, it was without warning. It came upon me into a space that allowed me to become my true self. It was an authentic place deep within me. What I realized as I began to explore my true self, my inner self, was that suffering, regardless of what that is a misperception. There is no suffering without negativity, without time. That in the true self, we are in the here and now. There is no such thing as suffering except when we are not ourselves, when we have taken on something else. So I am a voice of a new awareness. I believe that we have reached a tipping point in humanity at this point. I believe that we have come to the place of where I see people every day, and this is why I base this evidence, is that I see people waking up on a daily basis. I go all around the world. I talk to people, I engage with people, I teach classes, I work with events of this nature and this massively beautiful audience. And I'm loving India, by the way. It's an awesome, awesome place. And I work with people and I see people waking up on a daily basis. I see them going from pain to joy. I see them going from poverty to wealth. I see them going from dull, thick minds into sharp, sensitive minds. I see them going from knowledge of method into knowledge of self. The journey into self begins when we start to suffering, at least for me it did. When we begin to recognize that we are suffering, oftentimes we have fundamental to why we suffer. And for me, there are two fundamental questions on this planet. The two fundamental questions are, who am I, regarding the I am, and the second one is, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling in this very moment? Because those two questions are the answers to everything that we will experience in this body, in this time, in this life. Those two questions become the space in which we move into a new awareness. We start to explore, and the transformation that we start when we start to ask the questions, the fundamental questions of who we are, comes in the inquiry. The awakening comes in the inquiry, not in the practice. As we begin to explore that internal piece of ourselves that is our heart, that is both our mind, that is beyond all time and space, into the infinity of our beingness, as we begin to move in that direction, our lives become pure humanity. We recognize that we are society. We recognize we are all culture. We recognize we are all each other. Schopenhauer said that we become ourselves to the extent that we see others in us. This is a massive, massive idea. As we see ourselves, as we begin to love ourselves, as we ask who I am, and we begin to in relationship, when we begin to see others and other things, what is our relationship to wood, to computers, to people, to things, we become much more sharp. We come upon a state of mind, which is a beingness, and that beingness reveals itself to us. It isn't something we do. It reveals itself to us in a state of mind, which is infinite beingness. We begin to realize our eternalness. We begin to realize our life process. And in that life process, we become love and assistance to all human beings. We become this space that is here for ourselves, but also for other people on a massive level. We begin to see that all culture, all society, all of the world has relevance to us in the fact that we are the world, that nothing we see is not a reflection of us. Quantum physics tells us that there is an invisible force out there. It is filled with intelligence. We don't know it. We can never know it. It is immeasurable and inconceivable. However, we can feel it. And quantum physics tells us that everything is energy, that all things are energetic by nature, that there is nothing but energy, and intelligent energy at that. So as we begin to understand that the invisible world is stronger than the world, as we begin to see the difference between doing, which comes from lack, and being, which comes from fulfillment, our lives begin to change, and the world begins to change. We are the tipping point. The people who are in here are the cutting edge of the tipping point of humanity. I believe that you are all very incredible, special, amazing human beings. Given any opportunity, you will reveal that. We only have to sit in order to have all the universe's secrets revealed to us. We only have to be. It isn't anything we have to do. We do not have to earn our worthiness in any way, shape, or form. And in not earning our worthiness, we awaken. Our worthiness is indigenous to who we are. We do not have to become or do anything else. I work a lot with the two words that I think are the most powerful words in the universe. Those words are I am. Those are the words spoken by God. If everything is energy, and energy is vibration, energy is the language of the universe, the I am is the language of God. It is the invoking of the vibration of God, because words are vibration, right? They are for vibration in the physical plane. We have come into a place of authenticity in this transition at this time in all of history. This transition is to begin to godhood, the apotheosis of life. Man as God and God as man. We begin to see from the spirit level rather than from the human level. And when we take that position, all things become clear. It is much better to have a perspective than to have a thing. So the quality of life, the quality of our lives, is dependent upon the questions we ask ourselves. This is a major understanding. If we don't ask good questions, we are dull. We become heavy, we become laden. If we ask strong questions, fundamental questions that make a difference in our lives, we become what it is that we explore. And so in that exploration, we come upon something very unique, very different, something beyond, inconceivable, immeasurable. And so we are space, not location. And we get in this life what we are and not what we want. So as we begin to understand the point of the fact that we are all humanity, all culture, all society, then it is our responsibility to spread this love. It is our responsibility to make the difference, to step out of the values of difficulty, to step out of the values of struggle, to step out of the values of aggression. And as we begin to understand that, our lives begin to change. And in our lives changing, we change the lives of all around us. Yes, this world will have its pain, it will have its suffering, it will have its violence. But as we become more, as we become who we are, those things dissipate and we make an immediate change. Because in the seeing of those things, we make a decision. And that decision is who we are. When we use the words I am, we are announcing to the universe who we actually are. And the universe pays very close attention to that. Image, self-image, or alignment, or identity. I am is identity. And as we identify with something, we become that. Because the world can only reflect back to us who and what we are. There is no difference. It is an echo of what we say. It is an echo of who we are. It is an echo of what we experience internally. So this echo becomes us. And we make decisions upon this echo, or we let Source make decisions for us, which is even a stronger way. But life is very, very awakened by the fact that we can become, through I am, through this knowledge, through the inquiry of great questions. My advice to you, as the tipping point for all of humanity, as you're representing all of humanity as you sit here, as we connect, exchange between all of us, is to ask fundamental questions of who we are. And as we come to that place of asking that question, we may come upon this thing that we call Source or infinity. And that alignment becomes us, and that alignment becomes the world. This time in history is very special. This time in history is when we are moving from carbon-based bodies into crystal-based bodies. This is an amazing thing. It has not happened throughout the history of this planet. And so as you take a look at the love, as you take a look at who you are, as you ask the fundamental questions, your life blossoms. You are the flower of life. All sacredness is you. And all you are everything else. That is my message to you. I hope that we understand that love is what we exchange with each other when we are free. So this space, not location, is freedom. We are not this body. This body is location. Space is the space in between thoughts. Thank you for that. I hope we will all connect. I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. I come 10,000 miles from the US of A to be here with you, to spread this message of joy and love and this tipping point in the universe, tipping point in this planet, to break the magnetic grid of disgustedness, to break the magnetic grid of pain and anger and suffering. We only need one concept to move that forward. That one concept is love. The one question is, who am I and what am I feeling now? As I know what I'm feeling now, that is our vibration that we send out, which then echoes back to us. So make it your decision to feel good. That is what I have to say. Awesome.